Hello, my love. We are live on this Wednesday. Oh, you're one of my favorite people to see in person because you give the best hugs. So I'm feeling a little sad that we're not together in the flesh, but I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
Oh, Carmen, my love. So you are a designer from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You are a mama, a friend, a creator, a founder, a curator, a facilitator, so many things. And you have this quote on your site that I love. And it reads, "Art and design are an important part of my world, and I've braided them into my daily life. I am many things: a mother, a friend, a partner, a founder, a jewelry collector. Aspects of those experiences are layered into this brand." What I want to say is we checked in with each other just a few weeks ago, and I was like, how are things going? You were sending me a link and saying, oh, by the way, I did this. And it is a link to this amazing brand that you have created, that you've been working on behind the scenes during coronavirus. Woman, how did you do this? Tell us about this amazing brand. And is it CARM.N? How does the pronunciation? I'm going to make sure we get that
Carmen.
Right.
Simply Carmen. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Steph. That was such a beautiful introduction. Gosh, it's so kind and just as you are. So I'm not at all surprised that your heart shines through everything that you do. So I think, what was the question? Oh, where did this start?
Yes. How does one create and launch an exquisite line of jewels during a pandemic as she's doing all the other things?
Right. Okay. Oof, that's a good question. So this brand has really been on my heart forever, probably. It really, when I say that it's an extension of myself, it really, really is. I do consider myself an artist. I think that we are all artists. So I have been doing art for a long time and hadn't really considered, I had been doing it as a form of meditation for myself, which started back when I was in high school. I was simply making bead necklaces like everybody probably was in high school in the 90s, right? Yeah. But for me, it felt... my experience with that was that it felt really different. It felt like meditation and stillness in a time when in high school, like when we don't even know what that is or what that means. So I would come home from school, I would burn incense. My parents were like, what is happening up there? She's burning incense and making bead necklaces. Like, what's really happening? So that was really kind of the start of it. And then I had always really loved design and textures and pulling colors together and all of that. So I just started to collect all over. Something that a piece that I'm drawn to. My collection is pretty extensive at this point. And, when I had this vision to do this before COVID started, or COVID was a thing. So I knew that I wanted to do this, and I started to think through it. And then COVID happened, and I was like, well, here we go. Now I've got all the time in the world, right? I already work from the home doing marketing, so it just seemed like I can just continue to do it. So it was launched, and the response has just been so beautiful, and I'm so filled with gratitude because it's just been, I think I say on the website, I created the Marie collection, which is the first collection for myself. It was really something that I wanted to do for myself, and now it just feels like this really beautiful shared expression of art and everybody has sort of like a different idea of what it is and how it can be worn and how they wear it. And it's really neat to see.
We could talk about the collection and the designs all day long, and it just wouldn't do it justice.
Oh, thank you.
Do I see one of your pieces wrapped around your neck?
Oh, yeah. So I'm wearing several. I like to layer them up. I'm wearing the Marie, and then I'm also wearing our latest one, which is called the Demi. And that one is coming soon. And it is a smaller, more petite version of the Marie.
Can you come closer?
Get here. I think this is what the influencers do. You can see my COVID manicure too. So this is malachite. I wear malachite every day. The stones are hand carved and they are hand fabricated in 14 karat gold. And everything is designed in Lancaster. We're really conscious about what it is that we're doing, the impact that we're leaving on the world. And then the stones are set in Wilmington, North Carolina, by actually a female who used to live in Lancaster. So it's really kind of cool, this full circle moment.
Wow. How does it make you feel? I'm just so curious. I can imagine, like, I'm already mapping out which ones I want to order. Frankly,
thank you.
Every kind. But I was looking at the black onyx, and I already was feeling like, oh, when I put that around my neck, I'm going to feel so bold and fearless and all these things. And what is your hope for women, for men, for people, whoever are called to put on your jewelry? How do you hope that it would make them feel?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, because I just had a conversation about this with my jewelry maker or my bench maker. And what we were talking about is, so right now is this huge hubbub around Black Friday, around the holidays, and about like what we have to get things in, we have to get them done, we have to plug them, all of these things. And which is really not what the line is all about or the brand is all about. And it's really about, I think my exact words to her, because she's such a sweetheart and wants to get things done with quality as well as on time and all of these things. She's like, I just feel like I'm dropping the ball. I'm like, and I literally said to her, I said, our job, the job that I believe we are doing with this brand is to simply exist. We are simply creating these pieces, and their job is just to be. And their job is to be, and then what people put onto those pieces is really personal to them. They can have 100 in their collection, they can have one, or they can just have something on Instagram that they tagged and they go back and look at it and they think, God, that's really pretty, or whatever they think about it. So I feel like what I think that people should think is none of my business. And it's hearing that you feel like you would be empowered and you would feel powerful in the piece, that like warms me. And it's none of my business what it is. I love to hear the stories behind them. But I try to remove my expectation of what they could do for someone else, because it's limiting. That would be limiting to you for me to put that on you.
That is such profound energy to embody. And it makes me think of, so we've connected for a variety of reasons. And one is very simply, we both believe in attracting what is meant for us and what is intended for us. And there's never this push or drive to really create anything if it's not in alignment with who we are energetically. And so there's this delicate magnetization that can come from that. And I believe that this has shown up, this shows up in all that you create. I think about it with Rebel, the group that you founded in Lancaster, where, you created this beautiful space for people, and you've presented it to the world. And if it resonates with the core of the person, they are so welcome to come and be a part of it. And it's this human to human element that I believe is so often missing, not just in, I can think about it as it relates to being women business owners and how we market ourselves and our gifts, but even in inside friendships and relationships, and it can really apply to everything. So with that, I'm curious, is that something that you've nurtured? Is this just who you always have been? For someone who's watching and is just wondering or really resonating with how you speak to that, like they're thinking, oh man, I would love to show up that way in my brand, in my business, and kind of have this detachment to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that a bit?
Sure, I'm happy to. I think that the answer to the question of, is this how I've always been? Is this something that I practice? Is yes and, right? So, yes, I think it's how I've always been. I think it's how all of us are. And it's something that is a practice and something that needs, for me, in my experience, needs to be cultivated. So it's really easy to get caught up in what I consider sort of like that masculine energy around what success is and how we define success. And I really want to redefine that for myself. So even when I was building this brand, before I really got into it, I sort of sat down and journaled, like, what is success? How am I defining it? And I know that that's sort of like an age-old question that business owners ask themselves, like, what is success? And when I really sat with that question and let it marinate and soak in, and it just came back to success is just doing it, just taking a step. So first it was just thinking about the idea, and then sketching designs and inspiration and all of these things, and just one step at a time. That was success for me. But it's really something that I have to remember, because, right, the world doesn't really want us to remember that as it's kind of churning and moving, that hustle mentality is so easy. It's the air we breathe. So it's really hard to step out of it. And I think we have to be really mindful each day, minute to minute. There will be days where I'm in the weeds and I'm like, I'll say to my husband and partner, I'll be like, can we talk about margins? And he's like, no, you're fine. Like, you're good. Stop. So it really is a day-to-day practice.
You just do such a beautiful job of embodying that. Just really, it's always inspiring to see and know that, you can be on your hustle and doing your thing, and then still have the aspects of flow and ease and trust and surrender and creation and femininity, or whatever you want it to be. You can kind of, and I hate to call it a balance, because when is it ever really a balance? But you can find that harmony for yourself, and you do that so well.
Thank you.
Speaking of the hustle and the flow, so many of us entrepreneurs are really, really good and gifted at starting things, but not so much on following through to completion or finishing. And that is another area where you are really strong at both.
Thanks.
Idea, you create, you start, you move, and you keep on moving, and you complete and you launch, and you create the unimaginable, let's just say. So what is your process for that? Is it about taking that step, whether it's a micro step for someone or a macro step, day after day, no matter what is your rhythm for that?
I think that's a great question. And I'm just going to take a breath on it and really think about how I would answer that. I think that my process is that there really isn't a process. I think to your earlier point, I liked what you said about it just being a harmony. So there are some days where I am like completely in my business. And then there are some days where, I don't open my design book once. I don't even look at it. And so I just think that for me, it's just sort of like, I know that if I want to keep doing this, then I have to make sure that I'm still enjoying it. And so I have to like carve space to take care of myself. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, then I'm not going to be enjoying the other things that I have going. So, and my family, my family is a huge part of that too. So one thing that I've really learned in the experience of 2020 is that I'm just so appreciative. And I know that sounds so cliche because now everybody's saying that, but I'm really appreciative of the things that I have. I saw this beautiful quote today on Oprah Magazine Instagram, and somebody had written on the sidewalk, it said, I thought 2020 was going to be about all the things I was going to get, and I realized it's 2020 is about me appreciating all of the things that I have. And I think like that really resonated. That was like, whew, that's a breath, right? That's a big exhale. So to answer your question, I think my process is just really steeped in gratitude and appreciation, and trying to create space for myself to be able to take those steps, whatever that be, whether that is me like in a spreadsheet, which I hate, or if it's me, creating art.
Would you be willing to share some of the things that you are most appreciative and grateful for this year?
Yeah, sure. Well, the obvious is health, right? Just the definition of health. And I'm not even specifically talking about the pandemic. I'm just overall just health, mentally, physically, spiritually. I'm really, really grateful for that. And I don't take it for granted. And my circle is so tight, and I have these powerhouse females who can that's not the right word, but hold space for me to dive into the things that I want to dive into, and just be like, we got you if you fall. And that is a really beautiful gift that I don't know if a lot of people have that. I know I didn't have that for a long time in my life, and now I do, and I'm like, I'm never giving it up. So I'm so grateful for that. And of course, my daughter and my husband. So, but really art. I'm so grateful for art. It has been such a saving grace in so many ways in my life. It just keeps showing up again and again. So I'm really, really grateful for that. What about you?
Oh, I couldn't agree more on the health aspect and just the holistic meaning of that. I think I shared before we went live. I just spent a few days away with my honey, and it wasn't until a couple days in where I felt my body actually fully relax. And I thought that I've been doing all the right things, meditating and yoga and grounding and getting outside and eating good and doing all these things. But yet 2 days into our trip, I just felt this release, and I was like, whoa, where did that come from? I must have needed this.
Yeah.
So just chasing, I don't want to say chasing, but really, really figuring out what I need to do for me, and being so grateful of having that. That is such a privilege to get to do, and to get to create the space and time for myself to fill my cup when so many women in the world just don't have that privilege. Yeah. So that's been huge.
Yeah. Huge. Have you had a conversation on here with Nicole Lewis-Keeber yet?
No.
Oh, you will, I'm sure. She's just such a light. and she's doing some incredible things right now too. And I was just so honored and had the privilege to be in several of her classes during several of her workshops during this time. And, you know, she just talks about just what you were naming there around how our nervous systems are just so jacked right now because we don't it's actually like chemical reactions. And anyone who's watching this and is any kind of medical professional, you feel free to be like, you're using all the wrong terms. But anyway, she tells it a lot better. She's so interesting, but she really kind of maps that out as to how our bodies are really responding to this wonky time that we're in.
Yes. Wonky is the best way to put that.
Yeah.
So I know that we've talked about this before. We have similarities with just feeling like, and I know like for you in high school, you were a popular girl. You were, into, I think you were a cheerleader, right? You did.
Oh, no. Field hockey.
Field hockey. You were the field hockey person. I was a cheerleader. And we kind of found this alignment in that feeling like, life was good and had good friends and things of that nature, but all the while feeling a bit alone and like the black sheep. And so now you've created this space, for everyone, but I think for some really cool black sheeps to come together, and it's called Rebel, and it's an extension of Rebel that was founded by your amazing friend and former college roommate, Go Temple, Shannon Siriano. And so talk a little bit about what the pandemic has, how the pandemic has required some evolution, some pivoting for this aspect of what you do in your business, which is very much bringing people together through events that are so exquisitely executed and just incredible events. But what has this year done for that business model, and what have you learned?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So Rebel is a community for women and those who identify as female. And what we do pre-COVID is we would gather once a month and we would have a lot of the kinds of conversations that we're having right now. So we are all about getting connected and having conversations around people's stories. So I want to learn about you. I want to hear about what your life is like, and just even everybody who thinks like, well, I'm not important or I don't have a story to tell. We all do. And so that is really what Rebel is all about. It's just learning, getting up close with one another and learning about our experiences and sharing our experiences together and kind of moving forward in this wild journey that we're all on. And so it's just been really, really cool. And I had wanted to create something here in Lancaster like this for a while. And Shannon was doing this parallel journey in Richmond. So when we kind of started to chat about that, it was like, what? Let's see if we could do this here. And Shannon is just incredible. I was just actually on the phone with her right before you and I got on here. But how it's changed is like, so Rebel is really, the community is really about meeting in person and having connection together and feeling that energy. And so in the beginning of COVID, we did a couple, or quarantine, it was at the time of quarantine, we did a couple months of online conversations. And the feedback that I was gathering is just that Rebel is when we were gathering in person, just you could feel the energy differently. So what we've done now is Rebel is on the Mighty Network, and so you can be on there and create a profile and have interaction with people who are all over now, which is super, super cool. So you're on there. I think I follow you. You're on the Mighty Network.
I was about to say, what for people who are like, what is that? What is the Mighty Network?
The Mighty Network is an online network that Rebel is on. It's like a platform that communities can go on and they can connect. You create a profile, and then you sort of have you sort of have like your home page or your home screen, and then you have conversations, and you can also attend workshops in there. It's really cool.
Like a membership site.
Yeah.
You can access events and threads and conversations and things like that.
Yeah. For all over now. So originally it was just, if you were in Richmond, you would go to the Richmond community. And if you were in Lancaster, you would attend that. And now you can kind of go to all of these different events. And I think that when we're allowed to safely be in contact with one another again, my hope is that Lancaster will start again. And, that is the direction that Shannon and I both feel is going to happen again.
Absolutely will.
Yeah.
There have been people who've said that Rebel is a space that they always wished existed, and now it's here. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that to be an insane compliment to receive or hear as the creator. It really is. It is so beautiful. As you're saying that, I'm like sitting with it, and there's a part of me that feels like that experience feels like it's everyone's experience. Like it just feels like, and I don't want to be putting experiences on other people, but it just feels like a shared compliment, right? Because I'm not the one who's in there like mixing up the energy, right? Everybody's coming with their energy and their open hearts to kind of add to the soup. So I feel like that is just such a beautiful compliment for everyone in the room. Do you think, well, I should say yes. And do you think that this has a piece to do with, going back to the beginning of our chat, the way that you're showing up and the intention without intentions and the desire to create something that is beautiful for anyone who is interested in showing up for it? Do you think that has, as a foundational element, has that kind of nurtured what's been created and experienced by the collective?
Yes. Yeah, I would say yes to that. Yeah, I mean, I have always been interested in the work. So I have, from a really early age, have been like reading and listening and observing and been open to the experience of others and how I can learn from the lessons that they've learned. So yes, I think that is very much part of it. And I really have a heart for the people that are in that room. And I feel like it's important for the people in that room to feel seen and heard. And so I want to be able to hold space for them so that they do. And whether they're a speaker or whether they're sitting in the audience, I just want everyone to feel seen and heard. Don't we all want that? I mean, I want to feel seen and heard.
Do you know, it's so funny you asked that question, because I have been wanting to make sure that my love feels seen and heard. And over the weekend, we had something come up and he called me on it.
Wow.
And it's not always fun or easy to receive hard feedback.
Yeah.
And feel like a punch to the gut. And I just remember wanting to go back into my pattern of explaining myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught myself, and this isn't to pat myself on the back. This is like a really real scenario of real life. But I caught myself and thought, oh, Steph, don't do that. He just needs you to see and hear and understand him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I caught my initial pattern. I said, I want to honor your feelings, and they're completely valid. They're your feelings. And anyway, we don't have to get into it. But at the end of it, I was like, do you feel, it's really important to me that you feel heard and understood right now? Do you feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really lovely place to come from. So thank you for kind of pausing on that, because it is something that we all want and are seeking and are desiring.
Yeah.
All of us.
And Steph, I would say, go ahead and pat yourself on the back for that. Because that is a testament to the work that you're doing. And if you don't take a pause and say, damn it, I did it. Yes. Good job. Then you may forget it next time, or you make sure you're rewarding those milestones, however big or small they might seem. They're really worthwhile.
Thank you, friend.
You're welcome, friend.
The last bit that I just want to talk through is this. These are all little threads of, as you say, doing the work, and we individually always have our own work to do. But as we do more of the work, it opens the door a little bit more for each of us to be able to show up in our true essence.
Yeah.
And a lot of that for many of us is kind of peeling back those layers one by one, looking at those deeper insecurities and that self-talk that we have all the time. And you are such a testament of this, because all that you've managed to create, from the jewelry line to Rebel, it's really not just, I definitely don't want to just this. It is the result of you doing the work and being willing to let the world see you and all of your imperfections. And
for sure. Yeah.
And that is where so much magic can be fostered.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And it's just inspiring. And I just want to really, really acknowledge that, because it's never about us feeling like we've made it, or that we've arrived, or that we're perfect, or that we have all the answers. It's about really knowing that just by existing, you are on purpose, and how to nurture that to the fullest lengths of what that means for you, so you can really do the work that you're here to do, that the world is going to benefit from.
Absolutely. Absolutely, friend.
What are you most looking forward to in the next 3 to 6 months?
Continuing.
Continuing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I remember one of the conversations that we were having with Rebel, and it was a virtual conversation. And one of the questions that I like to ask is sort of like, what is your daily practice? And people have beautiful practices, and some people get sort of caught up in that question. Sometimes it's a hard one, right? It's a hard question to answer. And I asked this beautiful human this question. I said, what is your daily practice? And she said, I open my eyes every morning. I loved that. So what am I looking forward to in response to her? I would just say continuing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your light, shining your light on us today. You are an incredible human being, and I'm so honored to know you. And it's such a privilege to get to share you
Oh,
with my people. And I am going to link your site in the comments here so people can check out the amazing pieces that you shared at the beginning. What is the best way to buy? If like you alone, I know it's calling to me. It's calling to me.
well, it's so funny that you're into the black onyx because that's like one of my favorite pieces. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I just look at it and I wear it. I actually have one in my own collection. I wear it often and it's one of my favorites. So I'd love to hear that it's one of yours too. But the best way to go on the site and take a look around and see what piece resonates with you. And we're going to be announcing some new lines in the next bit. We already announced one, and we have a couple other things that I'm excited to share with everyone. So that'll be coming too.
All right, y'all. Stay tuned. Carmen, thank you so much for being here, especially the day before Thanksgiving, the day before your travels.
Thank you.
All the best. So much.
All right. Love you.
Love you.